The people have spoken. Your petition to have bad cop Dondi fired has been delivered to the Toccoa City Commission. Will the mayor take action, or will he falter? It's a special extended episode! On July 28th, 2025, a thunderstorm knocked the power out, but that didn't stop the Toccoa City Commission from meeting at City Hall in Toccoa, Georgia. And nothing could stop the representatives of the Justin Freeman is Innocent team from showing up to deliver your petition. And we've got the highlights! But first, let's get a look at the commission. The City Commission is the elected board that runs Toccoa. They're accountable to you, the voters. Terry Carter, Mayor of Toccoa. Evan Halenga, Vice Mayor. Gail Fry, Commissioner. Michelle Jamieson, Commissioner. Ron Matheson, Commissioner. These five hire and oversee Fred Wheeler, City Manager, who in turn hired Bruce Carlisle, Police Chief, who hired Dondi Nelson, a guy best known for beating up on little kids. If you haven't already seen for yourself what Dondi Nelson did to Elder Freeman and his son, then you need to go back and watch Season 1, because it was a truly wild ride. On to the highlights. First, Mrs. Freeman gave an impassioned plea for the commissioners to fire Nelson, retelling the story of how he abused her husband and her son.
Nelson was disciplined for repeatedly turning off his cameras and ignoring orders from superiors to keep them on. He then lied on his application with the city, claiming he had never been disciplined on the job. We all know why officers turn off their cameras. It's because they're planning to do something they don't want to get caught. But thankfully, other cameras have captured Nelson's misbehavior. Last summer, Nelson violently attacked my son and husband in retribution for their political speech. A judge has already ruled that nothing my husband said was a violation of the law. But in response, Nelson followed my husband, blue lighted him for no reason, and then crashed his truck. My husband and son were driving slowly through a parking lot, screaming for help because they knew Nelson had a violent agenda. Nelson is willing to kill anyone he dislikes. He held my 11-year-old son at gunpoint before smashing in the truck's windows, wrestling him to the ground, and putting him in a chokehold. 11-year-old. If other officers hadn't pulled Nelson back, he could have killed my son. And then Nelson told a mountain of lies to have my husband wrongly detained and indicted. Most egregiously, he claimed that my husband had tried to run over Nelson in the parking lot. But thank God there's security video proving Nelson's lies. Nelson thought he would get away with it because he had turned off his cameras, but thankfully other officers hadn't. So now we've all seen what happened. But Nelson will still get away with it if there is no one in our local government who will hold him accountable. If you do nothing, Nelson will be emboldened to re-offend, and their blood will be on your hands. Nelson is dangerous. He is dishonest. He undermines the work of all law enforcement. What will happen when an officer's testimony is needed to get an actual bad guy off the streets and Nelson is that officer? No juror will believe him. Are we going to wait for Nelson to give other officers bad information and walk them into some situation that will get them killed? No one should want this man in law enforcement, and his dishonesty on his job application gives you grounds to fire him. So do it.
Mrs. Freeman also hand-delivered your petition, which garnered over 1,400 signatures. Here are some of the comments you left on change.org.
Okay, so I got family that works for the sheriff's department, that worked for the police my entire life. This is excessive. This behavior is excessive. And it just shows that they're not actually working for us. They believe they are a separate group of people, a separate class that is special. They are the parent of everybody else, and they're not. We have parents, okay? And if you want people to be more responsible, we don't need cops like this anymore, period.
Freedom of speech is a universal human right and not a traffic violation. Officer Dondi Nelson lied many times, as you can now see from videos.
This is quite frankly unacceptable behavior from law enforcement officers who do not conform to the same laws that they enforce. It is a violation of the Constitution that they swore an oath to protect. They do not serve and protect the people. Instead, they violate people's rights. They are corrupt, and this is one of many examples of this. Enough is enough. We, the people, matter.
After the petition was delivered, a handful of bold citizens followed to give the commission their complaints. Elder Freeman's father emphasized Nelson's violence and the police overreaction. He shocked the commissioners and the audience by showing them excerpts from the News with Mr. Pipsqueak Season 1 as he spoke.
It just made me sick to my stomach when I seen these videos. I normally don't come to meetings like this. I don't need to. You guys normally do a good job. When you overlook something like this, now that you know he lied on his application, I just don't see how he can stay employed if he does. We're sending this man out on the street with a gun, a badge, the authority to, do whatever he wants to do, basically.
Another woman focused in on Nelson's disciplinary record and dishonesty.
I'm here tonight because Officer Dondi Nelson, currently employed by the Toccoa Police Department, has demonstrated a pattern of dishonesty that disqualifies him from public trust. Officer Nelson was previously with the Stevens County Sheriff's Office. Public records show he was formally reprimanded for failing to wear his body camera, a clear violation of department policy. The disciplinary report that I have here reads, Deputy Nelson has been told several times by supervision that he is to wear his body camera. He has also been advised by his patrol sergeant to wear his body camera. That same day, he resigned, and the disciplinary form explicitly states, quit upon being read. I don't know if you can see that. Yet when applying to the Toccoa Police Department, Officer Nelson falsely stated that he had never been reprimanded and had never resigned in connection with misconduct, which is obviously not true.
Remember, the news with Mr. Pipsqueak Season 1 broke the story of the disciplinary actions taken against Nelson and his lies on his job application back in May. But let's add this to the pot. After the meeting, the Justin Freeman is Innocent team put the city on notice that Nelson's dishonesty on his job application may itself have been a felony. OCGA 161020 says, a person who makes or uses any false writing or document, knowing the same to contain any false statement in any matter within the jurisdiction of any department of the government of any city of this state, shall, upon conviction thereof, be punished by a fine of not more than $1,000 or by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 5 years, or both. And that's just Nelson's job application. Another concerned citizen pointed out that keeping Nelson on the payroll would be a liability to the taxpayers of Toccoa when he caused more problems down the road.
We have a problem is that Nelson has now opened up our municipality to huge liabilities. This is about to become a serious financial disaster by heaping the legal costs on the taxpayers like all of us in the room to pay for his violence and his lies. It's just unacceptable.
And this local woman emphasized the importance of defending free speech.
The First Amendment was adopted 234 years ago, and since then, courts have long established that citizens can voice their free speech in public places like the steps of City Hall. Today, public places also include government Facebook pages where we have the freedom to petition the government for redress of grievances. Last Tuesday, the Toccoa Police Department took down their Facebook page. On July 25th, the Toccoa Police Department brought their page back up. However, they are now limiting where people can post. Plus, we are unable to see any comments that were posted prior to them taking down this page on Tuesday. It is believed they are deleting comments possibly and blocking people. These are First Amendment violations that further open the city of Toccoa up to more liability like this gentleman was saying here.
So there you have it. The elected leaders of Toccoa were made fully aware of the Dondi Nelson problem. So how did they respond? Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce... According to this email from Police Chief Bruce Carlisle, Nelson is no longer employed with Toccoa PD. As of press time, we don't have any other details. We don't know who made the decision, whether Nelson was disciplined, whether he was fired or allowed to resign, or whether he'll face any charges. But at the very least, we can all breathe a sigh of relief knowing that he is gone. And hopefully, with our videos warning the world, he'll never go back to wearing a badge. Now we just have to stay on this case until Suzanne Boykin drops Nelson's bogus accusations against Elder Justin Freeman. For now, I, the Freeman family, and all of Elder Freeman's supporters extend our heartfelt thanks to you for making sure that the petition had the signatures on it deserved. You, the people, rescued Toccoa from Nelson's reign of terror. But most of all, we thank our ally, Brian, from Here's the Deal. When Brian saw Season 1 of the news with Mr. Pipsqueak and saw how deep the corruption ran, he didn't sit silently. He spread the message and shared the petition like no other to ensure that this meeting would be a success. We salute you, Brian, and if you haven't seen him on Here's the Deal, go check him out. And if you had the time to be critical of Toccoa's government Department, consider taking the time to thank them for their service, because this week they heard the voice of the people and did something right. I'm Mr. Pipsqueak signing off, and remember, you should never talk to a police officer without your parents and a lawyer present.